Hey everyone, welcome to Creators and Coffee. I'm your host, Erica from Autofluencer, and with me today, if his face isn't familiar, it should be, is Dylan Pfohl from the Rad Factory. I'm actually repping my Rad Factory bright pink sweatshirt, which I get so many compliments on. So welcome, Dylan.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I know, super pumped. We pulled this together really quick. We're excited to have you on and talk about the Rad Factory. And I know myself, I personally reposted some of your content and shared it to our audience because it's so hysterical. So if you could don't follow, please do because it's some of the Temu stuff, like crying. I'm laughing so hard. Like when you guys did the mini bites, I mean, just like I just share it with everybody. So let's get started and even talking about how did you become a content creator? Like, how did you get into doing this? How did the Rad Factory get born? Because you haven't been doing it for that long, correct?
Yeah, the Rad Factory is fairly new, a little over a year. I've been creating content though almost my entire life. Before content creator was a thing, when I was 10 years old, I was stealing my mom's VHS camcorder that you couldn't even edit. You had to film everything in order, and if you mess up, you rewind the tape and then hit record and try and do it again. Luckily, moved on to tapes that you could edit, put into the computer and edit during high school. And then I did go to the Art Institute of Colorado for video production, but even that was before HD existed. So it's changed a lot. And that was right about when YouTube was coming out. I think I was in school 2005 to '07, and I believe YouTube came about in '06. And so
Yeah.
would start uploading some of my projects from film school into YouTube and some of the outside stuff too. And my friends and I were really into BMX biking. So we would go to the skate park and film stuff, and I would come back and edit it into a little 2-minute web video and put some music to it and put it on our little we had a blog back then. And then eventually my friends got better at riding, and I got better at filming and was able to take that into a career for a while in the action sports world, filming BMX and motocross, mountain biking, some snowboarding, all over the country, but mostly based in Orange County, California. Worked for Red Bull, Vans, Monster, um,
And were you freelancing that whole time or were you direct working for those brands?
freelancing. Yeah.
Yeah, very
So how it worked with me, I just became friends with the riders, and just there weren't many other options for filmers back then in that area, and that's where all the pros lived. And so I became friends with a lot of them, and uh, just was able to tag along on trips and make some cool projects.
That's awesome. And so then transition us from Orange County to moving to Denver and starting the Rad Factory.
Yeah, so I actually grew up in Denver, so it was just I moved home after 3 years out in California. It was just industry was changing at the time, and basically ran out of money, and ended up starting a production company out here with a buddy, and that ended up not working out. And so it's just kind of I've always been creating YouTube content on my own, and doing various things. First from BMX, and then into kind of like adventure type stuff, hiking, extreme hiking, and urban exploring. And then in 2019, decided to put everything into storage and go travel the world and become a travel content creator.
Yeah,
And that was the very end of 2019, and had some fun all over Southeast Asia. And then the pandemic hits.
right.
And so came back home, knew I still wanted to create content, but I wasn't sure what. If I couldn't do travel, what was it gonna be? And my options were I'm either gonna do cars, because I've always kind of had a casual interest in cars. My dad was into cars. He had a '55 Chevy that he was restoring when I was growing up, and uh, Camaro and Miatas and things like that. Or I was gonna do cooking, because my mom was always into cooking, and so that passed on to me. I don't even know why I just chose to focus on cars, like, it was a
Oh,
50-50
glad you
shot.
did. Glad you did.
Yeah. And, if I had known how expensive it was to be in the car world as a car creator or content creator, I may not have done it, but
I feel the same
now
way about creating software, so
yeah.
I feel you on that one.
Yeah, and so I think my mistake back then was YouTube algorithm really wants you to be in one lane. So in this entire time, I was always posting on my Dylan Full channel, like from starting with BMX and getting followers that wanted to watch BMX, and then switched to adventure stuff, and then people wanted to follow that, and then kind of mixed in cooking, and then people were subscribing for cooking, and then going to cars. It's like all these different audiences that weren't that came from something else that weren't necessarily interested in the cars, and so it really hurts you in the algorithm when your subscribers audience isn't watching your content, and if 90% of your subscribers came for a different style of content, they're not gonna watch your car content even if you put in a lot of effort and make it cool, good content.
Yeah,
And so that was kind of a struggle for a while. I didn't realize because that started in about 2020, and then finally at the end of 2023 decided it's just not working with this channel. We need to start fresh.
yeah.
And so we took all of that experience that I had gathered from years and years of trying and putting it into this Rad Factory channel and partnering with my buddy Gavin, who is a very experienced fabricator and just make anything happen sort of guy.
He's the guy that
Um,
dumb ideas happen.
yeah, yeah, I come up with the crazy ideas, he makes them happen, and it's just been a great partnership ever since.
Now, let me ask you this. Were you able to take, and this is more advice for other creators, especially if they're looking at doing YouTube? We see a lot of people launch a YouTube channel and a lot of people fall out of the YouTube channel because it is a different beast, right? It is kind of designed for longer form. It's a different way of filming than how you might be doing most of your other filming. And so, if you had video content like you had on your Dylan Full page that was already a YouTube page, did you take those original automotive content and did you move them into the Rad Factory or you started completely blank with all new stuff on the Rad Factory?
We did a few because there were a few projects that we were really proud of that did not get the attention we thought they deserved. Number one, I we built a 50-foot long, 8-foot tall rainbow grind rail, and I grinded my Miata over it, and it didn't end up getting attention on either channel, for whatever
Huh,
reason. Um,
hmm.
so yeah, for some reason that none
Stick
of
that on
those.
TikTok. I feel like that would do well on TikTok.
Well, TikTok is another beast also. So in that time before the Rad Factory, I did have some really good success on TikTok. I'm not sure when exactly it was, maybe sometime in 22 or 23. They changed their guidelines, their community guidelines into not promoting dangerous acts.
Oh,
So a lot of, what I do with the Miata, taking it off jumps or grind rails or things became too dangerous
oh, got
for
it.
TikTok, and
Huh.
so you really have to self-censor,
Yeah, that's
because
interesting.
I went from getting hundreds of thousands or millions of views on a video to
Yeah.
then just a couple hundred or 1,000 just because it might have something they deem
I
too
feel like
dangerous.
everything in our industry borders on the dangerous.
Right. So it's very difficult, and so I've kind of gotten out of TikTok, but I'm gonna try and get back into it a little bit more because I do like it, and that's where most people still recognize me from, is from TikTok, when I go to events and things like that. And it is a great platform for building an audience because you can just take off so fast versus YouTube is a grind. It's a long-term play, and in the end, I think it could be better to you build stronger connections with your audience and, which then for brands is more valuable, and just monetization is a little better, but, it's a long play,
Yeah, it is.
and
It is, and I think too, I mean, YouTube, it's hard to say, I mean, they all lend themselves to a storytelling element. right? There's always a bit of a storytelling. A lot of times, sometimes the YouTube channels that do really well from a creator standpoint that aren't a funded channel really seem to have this other kind of through line narrative that will go through it, right? You're watching something over a period of time versus maybe each episode being its own disparate kind of chunk of things. I know my husband follows a lot in the sailing world or in these other where you're kind of following the through line and not just the activity they're doing, but then the storyline that goes with it. It's a tough beast and it's a commitment, man. And so for you all, how often are you posting? What is your cadence of posting to YouTube?
For the past year or so, we've tried to do just about every week. That's been good. It's very difficult. I mean, I'm getting up at 5 a.m. to edit before Gavin gets here to actually get into the shop and start doing the work. And Gavin is also transitioning into becoming a firefighter, so he's available less. So we're gonna do every other week, but then I got a new project that I'm really excited about that is really relevant for the timing right now. And it's probably gonna go to every week again for a little bit. So it's not a locked in. I try and do every Thursday at noon, and sometimes we make it, sometimes we miss it. But
Yeah. And for you all, and I will say that you do tend to have a good job of some of the storylines of some of your projects, right? That can take longer or that have kind of follow up, like the Porsche truck, and some of those things. Like, where do you get your ideas for the different projects? I mean, do you sit and kind of plan out the whole year or 6 months, or what does your planning cycle kind of look like? Because with YouTube, that is one thing you can't really be fly by the seat of your pants with YouTube. Yourself really stuck in a rut. Um, on that one. Whereas you can do that more, I feel like, with the other channels, it doesn't mean you're doing it great, but YouTube can be an unforgiving mistress.
yeah, and with automotive especially, there's ordering parts and waiting for them to arrive. And so I'm really trying to get good about, like, really pre-planning everything and going through everything in my mind that we might possibly need and getting it here. So there's, a project that I'm thinking about for April right now. I'm ordering all the stuff, a lot of it from Temu, and sometimes Temu comes in 5 days, sometimes it takes a month. So you can't get to a point where you're like 90% finished with a video and then realize, "Oh, I need this one thing and I have to order it and it's gonna take a week." Then that really kind of
Yeah.
blows it.
Okay, so I have to ask, so if anybody's watched the Rad Factory, they will see your love of testing Temu products, and whether they're junk or good. And some of them, surprisingly, good. Some have been junk, like $100 supercharger. But how did that get started? I find it so hysterical. And is Timu like a sponsor yet? Like what's going on? I because while you're partly making fun of them, it's also partly bringing awareness, at least for me, of things of like, oh damn, I didn't know they had that. I didn't know they had that. Or just thinking like kind of outside, I think, the traditional box of like, oh, we got to order from here, and if you're doing fun projects, especially as a creator, like how did you get into that? And are they a sponsor? Like what's going on there?
I wish they were a sponsor. I'm
I do
not
too,
sure
man. They got
how.
trash.
Yeah, I and they had reached out once. I don't know why they just, like, didn't respond, because I had pitched them
That
the
track. That
the
tracks.
pit bike idea before we did it. I pitched it to them, and they just didn't respond, and I think that was a huge mistake on their part because that video did so well on our channel, and I don't even get, like, affiliate links, so I couldn't even put the link to buy the thing
Yeah.
in
I don't
our
think
video because I wasn't gonna get anything from it.
yeah.
Um, it's something that needs to be revisited because we're we're just doing so much of it, and that it's almost a little unfortunate that we've kind of been lumped into, like, just the Temu guys. That's not wasn't certainly wasn't my intention, but it seems like the videos just do so much better. People are just so curious about Temu that, even our video we did last week where we twin turboed my motorcycle,
Yeah.
It started out on the thumbnail, just me holding the 2 turbos and saying twin turbo motorcycle, and it was doing okay, but nothing great. And I spent a lot of money on that video. I had to buy an entire new motorcycle after we broke the original one. So I wanted the video to do well. So I changed it to Temu turbos on the motorcycle, and it you can just see the graph instantly go up. And it's just the video's taking off and doing well just because it has the word Temu in it. It's almost unfortunate, but it just
Man, you gotta ride that wave. Screw
yeah,
it. But to your point, we started talking about this, and we think about the state of a lot of people, I think, glamorize being a content creator. And then especially if they can do it in a world that is their passion. So if they're super passionate about automotive or actions, whatever it might be, you know, gosh, this is the best of both worlds. I can be a content creator and I can work on cars or I can build race car, I can do this passion and make money. But things, the algorithm have changed. The most all of the networks have gone away. TikTok, I don't think has brought back their creator pay. Instagram talked about bringing back a little bit. I think it's back a little bit, but not much. And then most of the brands we interact with that are automotive specific brands, very few of them are actually giving cash money to creators for creating content, right? A lot of it is in the form of a product or a product discount. You kind of alluded to that. What has that been like for you all? Have you been able to navigate your way in automotive sponsorships or find people that will actually pay you for content? Because you all do long form and you do YouTube, which I've had some brands that I've talked to that have been like, oh well, we only want to work with YouTube creators. I'm like, bro, you're gonna have to pay for that. And so what has that been like for you all? Have you found your way there? Or are you still finding it?
we're certainly still finding it. I don't there's very few people that probably have it totally figured out. And we do a combination of everything. We do No, I don't believe any automotive companies have actually paid us. Our paid brand partnerships come from outside the automotive world. We work with, an agency called Algebra Media. They do a great job, for us.
And they're
The
a talent agency?
I don't know if it would be a talent agency necessarily, a brand partnership agency. I I don't know specifically what they call themselves.
That's a great kind of plug for them, right? We do get a lot of creators that are at that tipping point in their career, where they're starting to get to the size where they are starting to think about the benefit of an agency partnership or a brand partnership agency, a creator agency. How did you get hooked up with them? And is that something you would recommend to other creators?
They reached out to us out of the blue, just a random email one day, and then it was right when we were getting ready for SEMA, and they happened to be in town for SEMA, and so we did get to meet with them, and found it was a great fit, and I would certainly recommend anybody at that kind of level to go with them
Yeah.
just that type of agency in general. The kind of whatever non-endemic
Yeah.
sponsors is based on view counts. So we had and they average the views of your last 10 videos, and our average when we met them was about 50K views average for the last 10 videos. I would imagine that would kind of be the minimum that they would want to work with.
And I will say, I definitely compliment the way you all have done some of your ads, or your sponsored things. I really appreciate the way you guys did your factor one. And I did done multiple, but like how it was just so natural into the video.
Mhm.
And it didn't see, like it was, whereas I was watching a YouTuber the other day and he's talking about this car he got. And it was this, one of those like, oh, I got this crazy deal on this car. And oh, let's check it out. And then all of a sudden it like the perspective changed and he's standing in a garage or he'd been out on the road with his car and he's like talking about Factor. And it was so awkward and not native. And I was like, oh, that felt bad. Like,
Yeah.
it felt like a proper commercial, which it was, but it wasn't tied in, and I think that's something too that brands need to recognize as part of it is when you work with the right partner, they can build it in a way that it feels very natural and it feels very authentic and it comes across as very authentic. to your followers, right?
Mhm.
Like I was definitely on my phone. I'm like, oh, yeah, Fitness Factor. Like,
Yeah, no, that's cool, and that is something that I put intention into,
yeah,
because I noticed that too, and there's some creators that are just so big that it doesn't matter, and we are not that, so but it also is important for your watch time. Like,
yeah,
when you're thinking about the algorithm, every little bit helps, like, the algorithm wants to promote content that is being watched, and so if 100% of people are skipping that 1-minute section, your watch time is going to be lower, so it's gonna be promoted less. And so if you can even just add 5 seconds to that watch time, it's helpful. Yeah, we have a video coming out this week with an ad that I'm really proud of. It's my favorite one ever.
oh, good.
Um, yeah, it's for DraftKings, and we're playing our own version of basketball on the dirt bikes, riding around and trying to
I know.
play basketball, and it's just fun and funny, and also promotes the brand, and hopefully people just stick around to watch it, and,
I love
yeah.
that. Yeah, that is something, when we think about content creation, and again, especially YouTube, because it is that long form content, that intentionality, that thought process that you put into, right? Which makes sense. You have a filmmaking background, so you are kind of thinking of the structure. How is this going to play? How is this storytelling going to work out? With that, I mean, I would say to rack it up, what are, if you had to think of advice of creators, and let's keep it on the YouTube topic, that have maybe done well on Instagram and or TikTok, or these other more short form mediums, what advice would you give them before embarking and launching a YouTube channel? Because I see it happen all the time, and I see a lot of posts where, like, it's almost like it's a New Year's resolution, and then they kind of fade out around March, and the channel kind of goes stale. So, what advice would you give to people thinking about starting a YouTube channel?
Just think of it as a totally separate thing. Your audience 99% of your audience will not cross over. Like, for example, we did the shifter cart on the snow tracks, and it was uh, a insanely cool thing, and it probably did 10 plus million views between a few videos on Instagram and Facebook. Basically 0 went over and watched the YouTube
Right.
video from it as much as you can tell. Some probably did, but nobody's leaving a comment, "Oh, I saw this on Instagram. I'm glad I came over and watched the whole long form." So it's an entirely separate thing that hopefully you can use some of the skills and the storytelling skills that you developed in the short form, and just kind of make it long form, and studying what other creators are doing to do well on the YouTube platform. Using a hook like on a short form video is important on YouTube, and it needs to kind of stretch out longer. So you have your first 5 seconds, your first 10 seconds, your first minute that you maybe use like the TikTok style hooks to get people to watch, but then slow it down and go into whatever you're going to do for that 20 plus minutes. And YouTube is wanting longer, so it seems
Right.
like it's getting more TV length, 20, 30,
Yeah.
40 an hour long videos that
Yep.
you have to
It's
keep
funny.
people.
Yeah, and our little vodcast, we use it more for education, right? We're not trying to build a YouTube audience, a channel necessarily, but we find the longer the video, the better it does, right?
Mhm.
Like, totally inverse thinking on that standpoint. So, what other piece of advice? So that's a great one. What other piece of advice would you give a creator thinking about, like, I'm going to get into YouTube?
I think just really be prepared. Know that it's going to be a long haul, and hopefully you find something that sticks. For us, it was the Temu stuff, and w when people are tuning in for that, you kinda wanna run with it, and but do it in a way that is is fun for you. Like, for us, these little pit bikes have been actually really fun, and then that comes through in the video, and people like watching, and so then we keep doing it. That's our video for this week, is testing a more expensive Temu pit bike that actually did really well, and I'm excited,
Oh, good.
for the video. We were testing it at the dirt bike track last night, and it did awesome.
That's so cool.
Um, but yeah, whatever it is, find if something takes off and works, then absolutely run with that, and hopefully it's something you can channel into something you enjoy. Like, for us, the first thing that took off was the Temu supercharger that then destroyed my engine, and so then I went to the Amazon supercharger, and that lasted a little bit longer, but again, destroyed another engine. I don't recommend
Yeah.
those things specifically, but
Yeah. No, I mean, and to your point, I mean, it's great content, and I think it kind of opens up kind of new worlds. Now, from a brand standpoint, do you have like a dream brand in automotive that you would love to like partner with and do work with? Like someone that you're like, would love to do a head to head of the Temu product versus Google plans. Are obviously, you know, all of our brands would do better, but like any is there a dream brand that you're like, man, I want to work with these guys one day?
that's a tough one. I'm really excited. We're partnering with Locked Off-Road Shocks for the Off-Road Miata, and
Okay,
we
very cool.
just did that deal, and they're super cool to work with. So that's been something we've needed for years and years as a shock sponsor for that car. Tire sponsor would be the next on my list. That would be a valuable one for us with just so many different cars, and they like whether we're drifting and burning out tires that way and off-road racing, and my newest project is a F1 style race car, and we're gonna be going through tires up with that, uh, and there'll be some fun testing with that won't necessarily all be on
Now
the
will it be a
track.
Temu version of an F1 stock?
It's basically is a TV version of
If
an F1 car.
F1 on a budget. McLaren, hold up. That would be
Yep.
so hysterical to be able to do like an F1 skit. Like to get F1 to bring you guys in, like it's like a promo for them with your little like Temu version. And you
Yeah.
have like McLaren and Mercedes next. That would be so funny. Well, we'll tag them. We'll tag F1 in this. So be like, look, we got a content idea for you.
We have some fun stuff coming, and that's the one that is, really current relevant that we're gonna hustle because the season starts here
Yeah,
in less than 2 weeks, and
I know.
so,
It's
we've
coming
got
up.
a lot of crazy ideas, and there might be some snow involved, some dirt involved, and,
All
just
the
some
things.
silliness, yeah, Rad Factory
Yeah.
silliness with an F1 car, so
I love it. I love it. That will be exciting. Well, on that, Dylan, we're excited to see what's coming up. Thank you for sharing all of your advice. Obviously, we will put the links below to all of his channels. Subscribe, watch it, and see what's going with F1. So thank you so much, Dylan. We appreciate it.
yeah, thank you for having me. This was great.